What's up, YouTube? This is your girl Megan. Welcome back to the HoodAstroQ cousins. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, welcome. It is here that we use information from celestial bodies to help us gain a better understanding of our favorite celebrities, world events, but most importantly, our damn selves. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button to become part of the family. Thumbs up this video to help grow the channel, and click that notification bell so that way you will be alerted whenever I make a new post. And then finally, if you are interested in booking your very own natal chart reading, contact me at astroworld, that's AstroWerld at gmail.com, and we can get you squared away on today. So today I want to talk about the moon in Gemini. Now, when the moon is in Gemini, it can create a person who is hardwired for change. Instability will be a constant theme in these individuals' lives. This could create lots of restlessness. Their childhoods could have been filled with lots of movement, or just this overall feeling of not being settled, not feeling at home. They may also spend lots of times in cars. In some extreme cases, I have seen Gemini moons be put in situations where they're forced to live out of their cars, or maybe where they've relocated many times as children. These are also people who could have grown up in the city, very much round the way individuals. A lot of times they could have grown up in the hood. Not every Gemini moon individual is from the hood per se, but once again, it definitely encompasses this round the way kind of upbringing they may have had, or where they had to learn how to be very agile and quick on their feet. Maybe they could have accumulated a lot of street smarts along the way, but they may have also grown up and spent a lot of time with family members, like extended family members, aunties, uncles, cousins, who could have also taken a really large role or played a very large role in their lives. Friends and family could also be very interchangeable. Their neighbors could have also had a very strong presence in their lives. So there could be a lot of stories, a lot of things that happen to them surrounding the people who they live next to. They could also be very intellectual and quick-witted, even argumentative if they're just downright bored. And this is because Gemini moons do have minds that are hardwired for processing information. They like to exchange information. So you'll have Gemini moons who are avid readers, writers, or talkers, very similar to Virgo moons. However, I would say with Virgo moons, those are more of the readers, while your Geminis are more so of the speakers. But Gemini and Virgo moons can be big writers. Gemini moons can be extremely long-winded, and they could prefer to spend a lot of their time on the phone. These are also people who are not typically good listeners. They only listen to respond, especially when it's a topic that they're very attached to or they feel very strongly about. They could also be the types of individuals who have clapbacks on 1,000. Smart mouths, always got something to say. They could overtalk people a lot, or when it comes to carrying conversations, they don't know how to listen or just wait for their turn to talk, or everything is just kind of out of turn, and they can be rude. They can be hard to have conversations with. They could just be people where they lack certain skills or maybe certain decorum, and it can rub people the wrong way in that regard. A lot of them are also very inquisitive, with the tendency to have asked a lot of questions as children. So these are the children who hit you with the why, but why, but why, but why? And you're like, shut up. They also have excellent memories and great descriptive skills, which is another reason why they tend to make really good writers. They also need to be mentally stimulated or be able to use their minds constructively. Otherwise, they could be prone towards mischief. And that's when they get more so in that argumentative mode of operation, right? They need to be challenged. So they'll do things that help challenge and sharpen the mind out of sheer boredom or just out of a need to want to engage, keep people talking, and they can, ruffle feathers, especially even when it comes to their opinions and ideas, but they themselves will be very unmoved. So they're really good at that, getting responses and reactions from other people, but they may be very well unbothered, very unbothered. In fact, a lot of Gemini moons can be very insensitive. They don't really operate from a very dense or heavy place when it comes to their emotions. These are people who tend to rationalize their emotions, and this is good when it comes to situations where, there needs to be someone who can balance out the equation, or someone who could, lighten up in a very emotional matter. But in some cases, it could just come off as just straight up like inappropriate, or once again insensitive, like you don't care. These are people who can even resort to doing some really crazy things or some very just immoral things because they're able to rationalize almost everything that happens. There is no real intrinsic emotional connection with these people. And of course, other placements, as well as the way in which the moon is aspected, will modify this experience, but this still is kind of the standard for most Gemini moons. Their minds are strongly shaped by their family and the people around them, whether it be in a positive way or a negative way. So it's very important, especially if you are someone who has a Gemini moon child, to speak life into them. Okay? They can rely heavily on the opinions of other people or people close to them. There also tends to be, in some cases, not all, close families or lots of family infighting, where these people can, especially if they are on the, more lower vibrational level, they could double cross family members. These are people who can be hard to trust. They could definitely betray women. Although this may not necessarily be how they would view it, because Gemini deals with duplicity, it deals with even there being a certain level of duality. These are people who, like most prominent Gemini placements, even with Sun, even with Gemini ascendants, they're always able to see multiple perspectives of a particular situation, and their minds are constantly changing. So they can feel one way about a person or an issue or one given side of a perspective, and then another way about another side of it. And on the outside looking in, people can just view it as being messy, being inconsistent, and that kind of thing. They are also prone to gossiping, and these are more so the unevolved ones, especially if they're bored as well. I also tend to find that a lot of Gemini moons, because of, their inability to, discriminate when it comes to information, they're liable to overshare. Their lives are often open books. And that could also be problematic as well, as they tend to create issues for themselves or be the type of people to expose people, or it could be hard really confiding or trusting in these people with certain things, or they'll be the type of people to take things literally, or can kind of only have like a half-baked perspective on a lot of things and center a lot of their emotional security around that. Now, as children, these are the kids that will embarrass you. These are the kids that will go to school and tell their teacher everything that's happening at home. My mama said my daddy was stupid. My mama said. They are also in a constant quest to seek to learn new things, which also ties back into them being very inquisitive. And once again, as children, they may have been the types to honestly just be bad, or just busybodies, always getting into something, always doing something, and just always, once again, on that quest to obtain information. These are also the type of people, in that same vein of them not being emotionally secure or having a very strong grasp over their emotions. They may tend to think out their emotions, or always trying to, once again, rationalize what's going on in their minds, which is problematic because your emotions are meant to be felt and not thought. Now, a lot of the restlessness that they have could lead to high wired energy or anxiety. They could just be very frantic personalities. Their energy can be extremely stressful. They could be very just jittery. Even being next to them is like drinking 10 cups of coffee. Like they're just, it's always something going on with them. And even their rooms and home environment could reflect this as well. They tend to be very messy, very scattered. They could have things all over the place in their room. They could have a difficult time adhering to schedules. And they could be very just forgetful, right? Losing stuff around the house and all kinds of things like that. These are people who may have grown up in an environment or had a mother to where they did not know what to expect on the day to day. I would even say their attachment style to their own mother could have been very much insecure. And when it comes to psychology, the insecure attachment style essentially just says that non-secure or children with insecure attachments can develop anxiety or just these different type of adaptations that help them accommodate the fact that they were not able to solidify a strong emotional connection and dependable emotional connection with the mother, because the mother could have been very inconsistent as well. Even downright in terms of traveling, maybe these people have mothers who were never literally there, where that could have been a major reason why they had to spend a lot of time with relatives, where the mother was just physically not easy to reach. Maybe she lived across town somewhere. Maybe she was someone who was physically there, but it was just hard to really capture her attention, right? And so they tend to self-soothe. And as adults, they're not super emotionally dependent individuals, but they could definitely have a difficult time as children really learning how to adjust to that. These are people who should definitely stay away from stimulants just because of their predisposition towards anxiety and having very frazzled nerves. And they could even exist on that bipolar spectrum and so on and so forth. So you definitely want to stay away from stuff like that. Even if you are a drug user, like, these people experimenting with coke, right? Obviously, I'm not saying Gemini moons as a default do coke, but if you were a coke user as a Gemini moon, like it could really hit you harder than it would anyone else. These are people, and just you could say that about Gemini placements in general. They just need to stay away from stuff with too much caffeine or even uppers, things that could be considered uppers, drugs in all forms. Even if you are a weed smoker, smoke the indica. Please leave sativa the fuck alone, okay? Now, these are people who could definitely have fast changing emotions. They could suffer, once again, or exist on the spectrum of disorders, mental health issues, even personality disorders. These people could have multiple personalities living inside of them. They could also be deemed as unpredictable, too changeable. And once again, this could also even lead to them changing their minds a lot as well. There's a strong need for variety. And for the men, this mentality could definitely apply to how they treat women. So these are men who will find it extraordinarily difficult to only deal with one woman. They have to be dating multiple women, or at least put themselves in a position where they could be engaging multiple women at a time, right? You might want to look through their phones, ladies. Actually, I take that back. Don't look through nobody's phone. But it would not be uncommon if you did look through a Gemini moon man's phone to see him texting and reaching out to other women, especially women from the past, and so on and so forth. Now, they don't do well with being bored. And as also previously mentioned, this is where they get really destructive and mischievous. These are the quintessential children who act out in school when not challenged. They could also lack commitment and can be too quick to share their opinions. Okay. And once again, their opinions a lot of times are half cocked. So they can embarrass themselves like that. They could also be the types of people to say things just to get a reaction from others. And they could be morally compromising due to that tendency to be able to rationalize anything. So the dark sided ones can really be some questionable characters. Now, they could have had mothers who were youthful, and unlike Virgo moons, which could produce a mother who may have been physically youthful, Gemini moon individuals tend to have young minded mothers, mothers who could have been almost like a sibling instead of an actual mother, where your mother could have been just very juvenile. Maybe she played too much. These are mothers who could have also had mental health issues, mothers who could have been, once again, hard to really pin down, either physically or emotionally. And that also ties back into that theme of insensitivity. However, the mother may have also been a major source of information. A lot of these mothers are educators or play some sort of role in terms of sharing information with the public, and could be very intelligent. And a lot of times they were enriched and encouraged intellectually by their mothers. So a lot of Gemini moon individuals, even as children, are the ones who learn how to speak a lot quicker. These are people who could have had mothers who really encouraged them to speak and who were very vocal about communicating with them. You know, the mothers who kind of ditched all that baby talk, that goo goo gaga talk, and started talking to them like real deal little humans, little adults, to the point where sometimes she could even go overboard and say all kinds of stuff to their children, where it's like, why are you talking to children about that? Why are you like, that's not really making sense. But you know, it's all about that information exchange, right? Information exchange. These children may have learned to, you know, speak and learn their alphabet letters and their numbers a lot quicker than others. Now, I also tend to find that a lot of Gemini moons have mothers who may have had children before they were ready to be mothers themselves, which also ties into that level of instability, right? Where the mothers are not super committed to motherhood and that kind of thing. And honestly, even when it comes to Gemini moon women, they could have some of these qualities themselves. Obviously, other placements in the entirety of the chart matter and the aspects of the moon. And obviously, this is not to say that, you know, having a Gemini moon makes you a horrible mother by default. Okay. Also, a lot of these individuals could spend a great deal of time listening to the radio. I notice that they tend to be really big when it comes to podcasting, whether this could be an area of interest in terms of these people wanting to enter these kind of realms themselves, because a lot of Gemini moons do really well in careers based on media, journalism, once again, writing, teaching, public speaking, and that kind of thing. But a lot of times, even in their leisure time, they could spend a large amount of time on the hunt for just new stuff, new information, new downloads, new stimulants. So for many people, this could literally translate into watching TV, listening to the radio. I mean, these are people who are, I even get the vision of you riding in the car and having the radio up, listening to all the little segments and stuff on like that on the morning shows or on the evening talk shows. These are people who could also really love magazines, in addition to, of course, books, newspapers, people who maybe their homes have a surplus of these things. They could also collect a lot of gadgets or keep a lot of gadgets in the home. And the best celebrity example of a Gemini moon that comes to mind is 50 Cent. Okay, he is the petty clapback king, and he is very childish himself, where he jokes way too much, and a lot of his jokes about people are very insensitive, even despite him being a Cancer sun, right? His natural mode of operation is cruelty a lot of times, hidden below the belt, or just saying things, having a strong opinion about something and then taking to the public and putting his foot in his mouth a lot of ways, or saying things that can instantly be met with backlash. He also had a very unstable childhood, considering that his mother was a drug dealer. She died very early on, which led to him being raised by his grandparents. So once again, spending a lot of time with other relatives, other family members. He's a writer slash rapper. He has the gift of gab. Gemini moons can also be extremely charming and charismatic for this reason as well. And he is no stranger to the ladies, often switching them out very thoroughly, constantly. I believe he's been with the same girl as of recently for quite a while now, but you know, it still gives very womanizer-esque, womanizer adjacent kind of teens. So yeah, this concludes my video for the moon in Gemini. If you have anything that I may have missed, feel free to leave it below in the comment section or discuss your experiences either as a Gemini moon or someone who knows a Gemini moon. And make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until the next video, I holla.